Call the committee to order today for the purposes of an investigative hearing into the possible threat posed by telecommunication companies influenced by a foreign nation. We invited these companies today as part of our ongoing investigation into the threat posed to the United States by those telecommunication companies and equipment manufactured by companies believed to have ties with the Chinese government. Huawei and ZTE have become dominant global players in the telecommunications market, leaving the world increasingly dependent on their telecommunications goods and services. Although they do not dominate the United States market, they seek to expand their footprint here. They reap the benefit of billions of dollars of Chinese government financing. They nicely implement Beijing's explicit desire to dominate in what China calls a strategic sector, and that sector being the telecommunications industry. We've heard reports about backdoors and unexplained beaconing from the equipment sold by both companies. Our sources overseas have told us that there is a reason to question whether the companies are tied to the Chinese government or whether their equipment is as what it appears. Certainly there is vulnerabilities built into the equipment that appear to be there by design. We have heard reports about their attempts to steal the trade secrets of other companies, which gives them a competitive advantage and makes us question their ability to abide by the rules. At the same time, Chinese intelligence efforts against the United States are growing in scale, intensity, and sophistication. Chinese actors are also the world's most active and persistent perpetrators of economic espionage. I asked the DOJ just to compile a brief list, and they sent us up dozens of examples of Chinese economic espionage, illegal exports, and other matters. Chinese actors are, U.S. firms and cybersecurity specialists speak about an ongoing onslaught of sophisticated computer network intrusions originating in China. That are almost certainly the work, or at least done at the backing of the Chinese government. Chinese intelligence services and private companies often use Chinese citizens with direct access to corporate networks to steal trade secrets and other sensitive proprietary data, and that was reflected in the Department of Justice report of the, as I said, dozens of cases of economic espionage. Americans have become increasingly dependent on computer networks of every aspect of our lives. This is why this hearing and investigation by the committee was so important. It was started as a preliminary investigation to see if there were any merit to further a full investigation by the committee. And Americans have to trust our telecommunications networks. We are more integrated today than we have ever been in our history. Their personal records, their medical records, their financial records, our transportation infrastructure, our education systems, and our government all depend on these networks, and we must have faith, confidence, and complete trust that that information will not be diverted for other purposes. Those networks, unfortunately, are already under attack. General Alexander, the head of the United States Cyber Command, has recently explained the United States has experienced a 17-fold increase in cyber attacks between 2009 and 2011. Defending against the cyber attacks becomes a bigger challenge when the system itself cannot be trusted. When the equipment and software is provided by companies we cannot trust, then we must constantly worry whether our systems are working for us or against us. A sophisticated nation-state actor like China has the motive to tamper with the global telecommunications supply chain, and the United States is a significant priority. The ability to deny service or disrupt global systems allows a foreign regime the opportunity to exert pressure or control over critical infrastructure on which our country depends. The ability to maliciously modify or steal information from government and corporate entities provides China access to expensive and time-consuming research and development that assist China's place in the world and places the rest of those competitors at a disadvantage. Huawei and ZTE provide a wealth of opportunities for Chinese intelligence agencies to insert malicious hardware or software implants into critical telecommunications components and systems. And under Chinese law, ZTE and Huawei would likely be required to cooperate with any request by the Chinese government to use their systems or access for malicious purposes. When vulnerabilities in the equipment, such as backdoors and malicious code, can be exploited by another country, it becomes a priority and a national security concern, which is why this committee is having this hearing and conducting this investigation. Every piece of this equipment, every code of software, every update provides that country a means to act against the United States if we are not properly protected. We must trust our systems if we hope to fulfill the government's most basic duty to maintain a defense against potential foreign aggression. We must get to the truth and see if these companies are tied to or influenced by the Chinese government, whether they provide a means for further economic or foreign espionage by a foreign nation state known to be a major perpetrator of cyber espionage. In February 2011, Huawei issued an open letter to the United States government requesting a full investigation into its corporate operations to try to convince us that there was no threat. I appreciate that invitation, and I gladly accepted. We decided to give Huawei that investigation. In the course of the investigation, the committee has been disappointed that the companies provided little actual evidence to ameliorate the committee's concerns. In particular, they did not provide documentation supporting or confirming their claims about their formal relationships or regulatory interaction with Chinese authorities, corporate structure, ownership, operations, or management. We are willing to work with both companies. We find a reasonable way to get our document requests answered and those questions answered. Companies have so far refused to provide full and transparent answers to our questions. Apparently, because to turn over internal corporate documents would potentially violate China's state secret laws. It's strange, the intended corporate documents of a purportedly private sector firm is considered classified secrets in China. This fact alone gives us reason to question their independence. We hope that this hearing finally gives us the opportunity to get fulsome answers and resolve these doubts about your companies. I want to welcome our guests today. I appreciate their attendance here at the committee. We hope that we can have a fulsome and transparent dialogue and maybe get some of these questions answered. And before we begin the questioning, I would ask for an opening statement from my ranking member.
Yes, thank you, Chairman Rogers. First, I'd like to welcome our witnesses, Mr. Charles Ding from Huawei, and also Mr. Zhu from ZTE. About a year ago, the Intelligence Committee launched an investigation into the threat posed by Chinese-owned telecommunication companies working in the United States. We launched this investigation to determine whether allowing Chinese companies increased access to our U.S. telecommunications market places us at risk for greater foreign espionage, theft of U.S. trade secrets, and increase of vulnerabilities to our critical infrastructure. The fact that both of these companies, Huawei and ZTE, were created and headquartered in China, a country known to aggressively conduct cyber espionage, raises major issues for us in the United States. And add to that the fear that China, a communist country, could compel these companies to provide it information or, worse yet, spy on Americans using this equipment. We are concerned about the allegations that products from Huawei and ZTE are being subsidized by the Chinese government, so these companies can offer bargain basement prices to unsuspecting consumers. These United States consumers may have no idea about the national security implications of their purchases. We're looking at all of these issues in our investigation. In May, I joined a congressional delegation, including Congressman Schiff, Congresswoman Bachmann, and Congressman Nunes, on a trip to China where we met with the chairman of the board of Huawei and officials from ZTE. We felt it was important to travel overseas to meet with these officials face-to-face and get the facts we need for our investigation. And we do appreciate the companies meeting with us. Chairman Rogers and I also sent very detailed letters to Huawei and ZTE requesting a lot of important information necessary to conduct our investigation. We were disappointed with the lack of direct answers to our in-person questions and vague responses to our letter. We are here today to give you all another opportunity to thoroughly and accurately discuss and answer our questions. We already know the Chinese are aggressively hacking into our nation's networks, threatening our critical infrastructure, and stealing secrets worth millions of dollars in intellectual property from American companies. In fact, the United States Cyber Command estimates $300 million worth of trade secrets are stolen every year. This jeopardizes our national security and hurts U.S. competitiveness in the world market, costing our country countless jobs and money. So, as you can see, this is not political jousting or trade protectionism masquerading as national security. We are doing this for very valid reasons. According to a report recently released by the National Counterintelligence Executive, 6 of the 7 cases prosecuted in 2010 under the Economic Espionage Act involved a link to the Chinese government. No matter how you do the math, the economic damage from the theft of intellectual property is unacceptable. In addition, the possibility that under current Chinese law, even privately owned companies can be compelled to provide information to the Chinese government is even more concerning. On this issue, other nations have already taken action. Australia recently excluded Huawei from competing on certain contracts dealing with their national broadband network. The United Kingdom has implemented costly security procedures for their Huawei equipment. In addition, the European Union is considering additional investigations into Chinese telecommunication companies and considering possible restrictions. In my role as the ranking member of the Intelligence Committee, I believe we also have an obligation to protect the national security framework of the United States. That is why we're holding this hearing today and conducting this investigation. I thank our witnesses from Huawei and ZTE for coming here today, and I hope they will answer our questions directly. We look forward to a thoughtful and cooperative dialogue so we can get a better understanding of how these companies operate. Thank you, and Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Thank you, sir. Today we have before us Mr. Charles Ding, the Senior Vice President of Huawei, assisted by a translator, and from ZTE, Mr. Zhu, assisted by a translator. As this is an investigative hearing, we will swear in the witnesses before they testify. Will Mr. Ding and Mr. Zhu please stand and raise your right hands? Mr. Ding, do you swear or affirm that the statements you will make to this committee will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Mr. Zhu, do you swear or affirm that the statements you will make to the committee will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you. Let the record reflect that the witnesses have answered the affirmative. Thank you, gentlemen. You may please be seated. We are ready now for your opening remarks. Mr. Ding, could you please lead? Thank you. Oops, there you go.
Chairman Rogers, Ranking Member Robertsburg, members of the committee, my name is Charles Ding. I have been with Huawei since 1995, holding a range of executive positions, including President of Global Sales. I came to the United States in August of 2010 as President of Huawei North America. I'm a corporate senior vice president and the chief Huawei representative to the United States. I very much appreciate the opportunity to appear before you today, and I hope that Huawei's participation can assist your important mission of addressing cybersecurity issues. I focus my opening remarks in 3 areas: Huawei's global history and growth, Huawei's solution to cybersecurity, and Huawei's contribution in the United States. Over my 17-year career with the company, I have had the privilege to witness Huawei's growth from a startup company to a global technology leader. Our success is attributable to 4 key factors. The first is the explosive growth in the telecommunications market in China and globally. For example, from 1990 to 2010, the number of mobile subscribers grew 500 times worldwide, grew 50,000 times in China. The second is a consistent and significant investment in research and development. Indeed, over the past decade, Huawei has invested more than $15 billion in R&D and has filed more than 50,000 patent applications. Huawei has 65,000 dedicated R&D engineers, which is the most in the industry. The third is our commitment to management transformation. Since 1997, we have relied on advice received from Western consulting firms like IBM and Accenture to design all of our business processes. Over the last 5 years, we have invested over $400 million in this area. The combination of the highly efficient Western management system with abundant R&D resource enabled Huawei's leadership position in technology innovation. Finally, and most importantly, Huawei Employee Stock Ownership Program, ESOP, has allowed us to not only attract, motivate, and retain talented and dedicated employees, but also to provide the company with the $4.6 billion in capital funding. These factors have allowed Huawei to become a $32 billion company today. Nevertheless, over the last 25 years of Huawei's rapid growth, a number of misunderstandings about our company have developed. I'm here today in an effort to continue to set a record straight about Huawei. First and foremost, as I have just described, Huawei's success has been based on entrepreneurship, innovation, and dedication. It has not been based on favoritism by any government. Here are the facts about Huawei. Huawei is an independent, private, employee-owned company. Neither the Chinese government nor the PLA has any ownership interest in our company or influence on daily operations, investment decisions, profit distributions, or staffing. Huawei is a Fortune Global 500 company operating in more than 140 countries. Huawei has established business relationships with the majority of the world's top 50 telecom carriers, including Vodafone, British Telecom, France Telecom, Deutsche Telekom, and Telefonica. Indeed, about 70% of Huawei's revenues come from outside of China. These are facts. Now, I would like to move on to my second topic, cybersecurity. Huawei recognizes the vital importance of cybersecurity, which is a complex global issue. The focus cannot be just on companies headquartered in China, other companies, Alcatel-Lucent, Nokia Siemens, Ericsson, and Cisco, they all have substantial operations in China. Since cybersecurity is a global issue that the whole industry has to face, governments and the whole industry should work together to improve cybersecurity. As a global company serving almost 500 operators across the world, we know that any improper behavior would blemish our reputation and would strike a fatal blow to the company's business operation. Our customers throughout the world trust Huawei. We never do anything that undermines that trust. It would be immensely foolish for Huawei to risk involvement in national security or economic espionage. Let me be clear. Huawei has not and will not jeopardize our global commercial success, nor the integrity of our customers' networks for any third party or government ever. Huawei has taken substantial steps to improve cybersecurity. As a crucial company strategy, it has created and implemented a respected end-to-end global cybersecurity assurance system. It has had as its global cybersecurity officer John Suffolk, the former chief information officer of the United Kingdom government, who is in charge of Huawei's cybersecurity strategy and manages and supervises its implementations. In addressing the requirements of cybersecurity, we have built best practices into all of our policies and processes. In this way, cybersecurity is not an afterthought. Instead, it's built into our daily business. It is part of our DNA. At Huawei, we adopt money-has approach to ensure transparency and security. We positively encourage audits, reviews, and inspections of all technology vendors, including Huawei, in a fair and non-discriminatory manner. Each audit and review enables each company to challenge its thinking, policies, and procedures, which in turn will enhance its capability, product quality, and product security. At Huawei, we have already gone the extra mile in this respect. Huawei proposes that governments and industry leaders come together to develop a global framework for cybersecurity assurance. Huawei would welcome the opportunity to develop a program in coordination with the US government to address cybersecurity issues. Huawei has been in the United States for more than 10 years. We have 1,700 employees here. In 2011 alone, Huawei invested $300 million in the US and procured $6.6 billion in goods and services from US companies. Our purchase from US-based companies over the last 10 years have exceeded $30 billion. Over the last decade, Huawei has been committed to bring the world's leading products and services to U.S. customers. However, our U.S. business has been damaged by unsubstantiated, non-specific concerns suggesting that Huawei poses a security threat. In response to those misconceptions, Huawei has been providing information and cooperating with the committee over the last 10 months. And that is why I'm here today to answer your questions. Again, I would like to express my appreciation for the opportunity to be here today, and I welcome your questions. Please understand that where I do speak and understand the English, I want to make sure that my answers to the committee's question are complete and accurate. For that reason, I use my native language of Chinese to answer your questions. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, Ranking Member Ruppersberg, and honorable committee members, because my native language is not English, so excuse for my answer in question for the next session is Chinese, and I make efforts to make my statement here in English. My name is Zhu Jinyun, ZTE's Senior Vice President of North America and Europe. I have a supporting written statement that I urge to be included in the record along with my full statement. I'm pleased to appear today to represent ZTE, one of the world's remarkable companies operating in 140 countries before one of the most important committees in the United States. When I started my career as a young engineer in a corner of China called Shenzhen